So we'll call to order this regular meeting of Council of October 6th. I'm going to make one adjustment in the agenda here, and that is that item 12.3, which is the report on the George Hotel and Residences public hearing and consideration of the adoption of the bylaws. We'll move that up to right after the adoption of the minutes, so it will be dealt with early in the meeting for people who might be here for that purpose. That's an understatement. Yeah. Councillor Valeri, do you have another addition to the agenda that you wanted?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A late item coming from the Ferry Advisory Committee that the town requests to be consulted on the terms of reference for the fixed link study under new business, please.
Okay, so we'll just add that under item 14 under new business. Okay, so with those two amendments, I just ask for a motion to approve the agenda as amended. Councillor Valeri, Councillor Sanjanko, all in favor, and that's carried. One set of minutes to adopt from the September 15th council meeting, which seems like a long time ago. That was before UBCM. So I just ask for a motion to adopt those. Councillor Valeria, thank you. Councillor Sanjanko, thank you. All in favor, and that's carried. Okay, we're going to move straight to the report from the Director of Planning on the item 12.3.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just gave you an updated, slightly updated version of the report. We finished our initial review last week in order to be in time for the agenda preparation. Did some due diligence, and the numbers are slightly different, but the distribution is not. Out of the written submissions, we had 70% in favor and 29% opposed and 1% neutral. And we'll make sure that finalized report gets posted soon. And then secondly, I just want to mention that after the public hearing you cannot discuss new things, but you can definitely reflect as council on what you heard last week if you wish so. And I'm available to clarify any questions you may have. And then thirdly, the options in the staff report are approval, and I can confirm that we received written commitments from the developer with regards to the development agreement items. So that's available in case council goes that way. Second option is to consider changes to the proposed bylaws. There's some catches there. You cannot change everything. Some changes would require a public hearing again. Definitely, particularly if it would change use or density. And then thirdly, the third option is to reject the bylaws, and that would mean that the zoning and OCP would remain unchanged, and that the project as proposed could not proceed. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think all councils read your report, and all members of the council were present at the public hearing. I have not yet heard the views of council. We've not had any conversations on this since the public hearing, so I'm looking forward to hearing what other members of council have to say on this topic this evening. So, is there anybody that wishes to start? Councillor Sanjanko.
Thank you, Mayor Rowe. I'm going to be reading my comments this evening because I don't want to forget anything, and obviously there's nerves in play. My comments this evening are directed to our community, and specifically to those community members who haven't felt heard in this process. I heard you. I heard you express fear that a precedent would be set, encouraging a wall of condos along our ocean front. I don't agree with or accept this concern, as our OCP clearly lays out 3 sites distributed in Gibsons, about which council would keep an open mind for residential tourist accommodation. This is one of those 3 sites. I heard you when you were frustrated by what has been described as a lack of negotiation by the developer, and I also want to respond to that. What I have witnessed in this process is the developer reviewing and updating his plans substantially 3 times, as well as implementing various modifications to try and find a balance between what could work for our community, as well as fulfill his vision and support his business model, not just for a hotel, but for a fully integrated wellness destination spa, holistic health clinic, and treatment center. Going forward, there are various safeguards in place to continue to guide this process, managed by professionals and experts in their industries. Some of the safeguards on which the community has been requesting assurance only take place if there is a project and not just an application. And finally, I heard you when you said you wanted to see leadership and vision from this council, and I can assure you that this is also very important to me. I wouldn't be sitting up here if it wasn't. To me, leadership boils down to making the tough decisions. I was involved with the Gospel Rock decision after 7 years of that issue dominating our community. And I am again involved with the George decision. In my mind, the best thing that I can do for our community is to show leadership and to make a decision. Thank you for the input, for all of it that has been received. To those of you who do not agree with my position, I truly understand and I respect your position, as I hope you will respect mine. And to those of you who seem to have many answers, both in business as well as community leadership, I encourage you to seek investment for a residential tourist accommodation development that you feel is suitable for this community. We have 2 more sites available and we have open minds. I would also encourage you to seek election next term. Get into office and address these very tough decisions, as I have front and center. I am in support of this OCP amendment bylaw and zoning amendment bylaw to move forward to 3rd and final reading. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Sanjanko. And this I recognize Councillor Valerian.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to be a bit more long-winded. I've got a few minutes here. I'm going to structure my remarks into 3 themes: the past, and then the future, and then the present. I'm counting on you, Mr. Mayor, not to rule me out of order. Starting with that was a joke. Starting with the past. No matter how you feel about growth and progress, and I will say I'm not easily seduced by it, I think it's safe to say that essentially time has stood still in the Harbour area for many years. The natural opposite reaction to this is pressure to speed up time to make up for what some see as lost time. On top of this is an agonizing tension, similar to the experience of raising a child, which many of you I'm sure know, between wanting to freeze a perfect moment in time to keep things just the way they are, all the while knowing that nothing will ever be the same again. Council's role is to moderate these pressures and balance the differences of opinion amongst our residents. I think of all the resources, passion, energy, time, and money that have been invested in both sides of this issue, and I dream of focusing those resources on our town's social and cultural vitality. I think of the scientific link between a sense of community and our overall quality of life, including our health, and I think of the challenges ahead that will give us no choice but to work together. What I heard at the public hearing tells me it's time to begin the healing process. When an issue touches our hearts, like this one does, we feel there's so much at stake. And so sometimes we say things that push the limits of civility. It's fine, it's democracy. It can be messy. But there's a time to forgive and forget, and this is that time. I really appreciate the person who said, I have friends in favor, I have friends opposed, and I respect them all. This council knows that we need to take the lead in bringing people together, to harness our energy in a renewed direction, and we take this very seriously. So the future. One of the concerns, as Councillor Sanjanko said, one of the concerns that resonates the most with me is precedent. We have to look beyond tonight to the next 5, 10, and 20 years. It's clear that we can't easily accommodate buildings of this scale without losing our village character. But council makes those decisions. They're not made on the basis of precedent, they're made in the public interest. To alleviate concerns about precedent, I think council should send a very clear signal that we welcome development consistent with managed growth. But if we grant this rezoning, it shouldn't be mistaken for open season on waterfront development in Gibsons. The OCP says we should consider innovative zoning changes when we can improve livability of the town. So we need to stand firm on our community's increasing appeal and engage with proponents early in the process to set our terms and work collaboratively towards good proposals. Looking beyond tonight's decision, I believe Council should commit to the Harbour Area Plan height limitations for the rest of our term. The clause we're considering tonight, the one specifying 1 to 4 story height limit, says that exceptions may be considered on a case-by-case basis. May be considered. We currently have 2 cases before us for consideration, and to add more, I believe, would erode the plan that represents so much effort and compromise. We also need time to assess the real impacts of height exception before speeding up time anymore. So I'll be bringing this forward for discussion at our next council meeting of October 20th. I can't talk about the future without looking to the vision in our OCP. Quote, a welcoming, sustainable community that offers an outstanding quality of life in a spectacular natural environment. It's not about buildings, it's about recognizing our own value, taking pride in what we have and sharing it with others. We're blessed with a life in direct contact with nature in this landscape that we all treasure. It shapes our collective energy and our stewardship of this planet, and that's too important to keep to ourselves. I heard a comment the other day, not at the public hearing, that no one in this country east of Burnaby cares about the environment. I'm sure that's an exaggeration, but the West Coast of North America is a leader in environmental consciousness. There are billions of people around the world who don't have the communion with the natural world that we have, and compelling data that the most effective way to convince people to care about nature is to put them in it, even for a short time. We're blessed with the benefit of the long-term Aboriginal perspective and in a perfect position to showcase Howe Sound's recovery from intense industrialization and to show it off from sea level, not looking down from a highway at 100 kilometers an hour. We're the only municipality in North America, so far, to place a formal and practical value on our natural assets, on our groundwater, our creeks, our woodlands, and our foreshore. Why stop there? We can expand this thinking to our recreational assets and to our key role in helping to shift environmental consciousness by welcoming the world and passing on the lessons we've learned. Which brings me to the present. I'm almost done. And the proposal before us tonight. There's no obnoxiously loud bell to ring me off the mic, so I'll keep going. This proposal does represent a speeding up of time, maybe even an overcompensation for lost time. Does the building size challenge the scale of our small harbor? Absolutely it does. Was there a missed opportunity at some point over the past few years to reach a small-scale compromise? Maybe. It's also possible that we found the proponent's bottom line after the last set of design changes. We'll probably never know, and we have to accept that. Is that a failure of process? The town should undertake a full review of the process to learn all the lessons we can for the future. But from what I've seen up close in the past year, it's been remarkably thorough, and our staff should be congratulated for that. So this may have not been a perfect negotiation, and from my point of view, it's not a perfect proposal. Should we send the proponent packing, roll the dice, and cross our fingers? We might do better, we might do worse, but either way, more time will pass, and our divisions may not heal. I was moved by passionate appeals to the heart, and I really value the role that dissent played in shaping the discussion. However, on balance and all things considered, I must in good conscience vote in favor of the bylaws before us. I think they're in the best interest of the town, and it seems the majority of residents agree. In thinking this through, I had to go back one more time to the Harbour Area Plan, and I highly recommend it for some bedtime reading. This proposal for a hotel, convention, and wellness center satisfies many, if not a majority, of the plan's objectives, including explicitly stated development of tourist accommodation and meeting facilities, but also waterfront walkway accessibility, pedestrian focus, climate adaptation strategies, and increased social and commercial activity, and improved infrastructure. All that, and it will make a significant contribution to our collective public finances. Would the town survive without it? Absolutely it would. Is this development the solution to all our troubles so that once it's built we can sit back, relax, and let time stand still again? No way. Will our seaside village character necessarily be degraded by this development? I think our charm is more resilient than that. The risks are manageable, the potential benefits are compelling. The town has the tools to make sure the project is well executed, including covenants, permits, bonding, letters of credit, insurance, and yes, more peer reviews. Because this project can benefit all of us, if one of the greatest risks is that it fails, we should give it every opportunity to succeed. I'm not willing to stand in front of this potential economic engine and say, I don't think you will succeed, I don't think we're up to the challenge, of letting you succeed, so I will deny you the opportunity to succeed. That's not leadership in my book. So, as challenging as this decision has been, I challenge all our residents to show leadership, put this process behind us, get behind this project, and get ready to put our best foot forward and welcome the world. And tonight, I will support third reading and adoption of the zoning and OCP amendment bylaws.
Thank you, Councillor Larritt. Councillor Lumley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My comments probably won't be as eloquently laid out as Councillor Valeriot's. I don't have a computer. I just have a pencil. So I'm going to read from my handwritten notes here. I'd like to thank the Mayor and my fellow councillors for their tireless efforts through this. The town staff, who obviously went above and beyond every day on a process which I'm sure felt like a thankless grind. I guess that's the life of a civil servant. And Councillor White, wish you were here, but kudos to you for having the courage to make an extremely tough decision. Don't worry about your detractors who haunt both sides of this issue. They selfishly speak for themselves, while you unselfishly lived up to your oath. And my notes are, I'm going to let you inside this bubble. Sometimes I feel like I'm in when I sit up here or you attend meetings or discussions, but this is like kind of a tour of the left side of my brain, so I hope you stick with me here. I'm speaking for myself and what I think of and how I feel. Sometimes that gets me in trouble. Hopefully not tonight, not too many sound bites. A message to you, Rudy. I know you spoke. I was never wavering on this issue. I was simply doing my due diligence. And yes, there are things I truly didn't like about the project, and I truly wanted to straighten out. I did want to comment on the public hearing the other night. I thought the tone was very respectful, either whatever side you're on. I thought the town made a huge comeback from the first one. I would like to also thank former Mayor Janik. I think his comments were poignant and they were very respectful and honest, and I think that was like one of the best comments of the night. Now, the community divided. I know there's passion on both sides. People are very passionate. But I found that there was like a bridge between, when I spoke to different people, there was a bridge between this divide, and probably one of the leaders I would consider in this town said to me, he said, the hotel, he doesn't think will make or break the town. He said, I voted for you because I think you'll make the best decision for the town. So that was kind of the medium that I was struck with. Now, another thing that came up, there was a lot of discussion as of late about the environmental issues of the project. Now, just so everyone's clear, I think the issues, they rest squarely on the shoulders of the proponent. He will be dealing with the Ministry of Environment, the DFO, and the town to satisfy all the foreshore and harbor area concerns. So clearly the Ministry of Environment won't get involved until the rezoning application has taken place. And as well, these are going to be massive costs for the proponent, and these are part of a development cost. And I don't think we could be expected the proponent to pay for all these things without any type of insurance. Also, I wasn't quite sure on the contamination issues if somebody's willing to clean the site. I don't know what the bad thing was about that. I'm not sure, like, if we should just leave all the contaminants in there, if that's even better, but if someone's willing to clean that up for us at their dime, I thought that was a good idea. So, Mr. Sobolewski, let's stay open and monitor this together. I know you seem to be quite involved in that. There was a couple other issues I had from the public hearing. I just want to quickly say they kind of don't work into my notes, but I wrote them down. I don't think it's a cult or a casino. Yes, my manhood is firmly in place. I know somebody was concerned about that. As well as there's some other things that were said. There was the immigrant workers that was brought up, and you know what? I kind of like embrace that. You know, if there's a job for a family that's immigrating to Canada, and they find themselves in Gibsons, I kind of like that. So, you go to the parade at Sea Cavalcade, and I mean, some of the greatest floats were like some of our newest citizens in here, very colorful and energetic. So I kind of like the fact that somebody might emigrate here and get a job. That sounds kind of cool to me. And I know Graham talked about maybe not getting any sleep, but I'm not sure if he knows that they've kind of canned the Swamp Angel, which is going to be the pub. It's going to be a restaurant. The restaurant's closed pretty early, but and I know he's moved to Roberts Creek, so I think bedtime starts around 4:20 out there, so he'll be safe. There was other things brought up too, and you're not able to talk to people as much as you'd like to, so I'd like to just, again, you're inside my head here. Negotiations. People said, hey, what about negotiations? You know what? There's constant negotiations, constantly going on. We got to the proponent right away. In fact, after one of our meetings, Councillor Valeri and I met with the CAO, Emmanuel Machado there. Right after, like the very next day, we wanted to talk to him, and we gave him a laundry list of things, questions, wants, and that's kind of like when the nervousness started to ensue, I think, for the pro side, because they thought, again, wavering, but we just wanted to get the job done right and do the best we could for the town. And what happened in turn was, and Charlene talked about this, Councillor Sanjanko is formal. He reduced the height, floor by floor. He actually took 2 feet out of he lowered the ceiling in the sauna or the spa area by 2 feet, lowered the parking levels, and he also removed 4 rooms. So we did hear what people were saying. Now the unfortunate part of that is that the aquifer results canned all the lowering of the floors, and the net difference is what we're dealing with today. But the proponent actually went through and took heights off each and every floor, including more in the parking and the wellness center. Also negotiated Wynn Road. It was a hotly negotiated topic. I hope I'm not speaking out of turn here, but I don't think the straight sale of Wynn Road, like some people purport, would do anything for the town or the proponent when it came down to it. So we had some interesting discussions, but I think it's part of the information. I don't know if somebody missed it, but we actually got to keep Wynn Road. Okay, stay out of the details. And I think this was in the information meeting, though, sorry. And he's buying the airspace below it to build his parking lot.
Exactly.
And he's also maintaining Wynn Road for the life of the project. So that seems like kind of a win to me. And you do understand if we sold it, the funds would be stuck in some account forever until you find a place to build a new access to a foreshore. So I think it was a win-win. That was a great thing. Parking, I know they said we gave the parking away. We didn't. In fact, the 4 spaces in front, plus the 8 spaces presumably on Wynn Road. I don't know who parks on Wynn Road. Maybe, I don't know who parks down there, but in turn we got 12 spots covered parking inside the hotel complex, free public parking. So I think that was like a huge win too. Of course, there's the clause that Jeremy was big on to prevent the hotel from being anything but a hotel. And I too don't think that we can choose a developer. They choose us, and then we do our best to make it work, if it can work. And you know what? Honestly, I don't want waterfront condos, but I get it. It's a necessary financing evil, and actually it's in the harbor area plan anyway to increase the density. Yeah, and the affordable housing portion is too low, I think. That's not good. But it was negotiated by previous council, and it's based on a policy that was put in place by the previous mayor and council. The proponent is simply following the formula, and you guys can read that if you want. I was talked out of chastising a former councillor about that, but I am the liaison to the Sunshine Coast Housing, and I have made it a priority to change Gibson's affordable housing policy so that it works better and it's fair. The aquifer, please reread the waterline report again, everybody. I did. There are several reports and studies that must be completed. as with the environment, these are development costs within the permit stage and can still make or break the project. We have negotiated a development agreement. Should we move forward? Okay, I have to ask myself, should we move forward? So I did a list of the pros and cons. So the pros: improved pedestrian and waterfront access. Con: too tall. Economic driver: existing and new businesses. I'm hoping that youth can get engaged. Things like ecotourism, so on and so forth. Con: too tall. Wine Garden Park improvements, and I really believe that Wine Garden Park is underutilized. We're going to be getting cash to improve Wine Garden Park. The band shell will be in an area that will actually make sense. Okay, con: too tall. 130 jobs. Like I mentioned before, new families, maybe. Diversity in culture. Con: too tall. Much needed infrastructure upgrades. That's a pro. Con: too tall. Pro: sea path upgrades, rising sea levels, stormwaters, all being paid by the proponent. That's a pro. Con: too tall. Pro: increase in taxes. Now it's important to know, I know they throw out a figure of $345,000. No thanks. If you do the math on this would equate to like the existing taxpayers getting an increase of 13.8% in their taxes every year. So that's a big pro. Con: too tall. So I'm going to sorry, I'm almost done, I'm serious, but somewhat Councillor Valerian was saying about the past, and you know what, I like Barry Janik. He provided great stewardship. You know, the grass was green, flowers were in full bloom, the sun glistened off the Molly's Reach sign, and the water tasted great. But now we must replace stewardship with leadership. Believe me, look at the statements. The days of the $1.5 million transfer payments for the governments, gone. They're over. Those days are long gone. Will the town go broke? No. But you know what sucks? Living paycheck to paycheck. I went through the budget process for the first time. You know what else sucks? Allocating $60,000 to Armour's Beach improvements, because that's all we could afford. So now we still got an old building full of asbestos down there we can't afford to do anything with or improve the site. So I'm sorry, but for the sake of a couple of stories and a little extra feet, we have too much to gain. I vote in favor of the OCP amendment and the bylaw.
Okay, very eloquent positions put forward by members of council. You know, this application's been under review now for more than 2.5 years. It's been subjected to a number of experts' reports, both on the part of the proponent as well as studies and reports required by the town. It would be an understatement to say that this particular application has generated much discussion, and that members of our community have strongly held views both in support of and in opposition to the proposed development. In addition to the oral submissions at the recent public hearing, members of council have received several hundred written submissions which overwhelmingly support proceeding with the amendments. While several submissions were received from individuals outside of Gibsons, it is critical that we not lose sight of the fact that only the taxpayers and businesses in the town will bear the financial consequences of the ultimate decision. Many of the submissions in opposition to the amendments focused on technical matters that will be considered at the time of issuance of the various development permits. Some of them raised concerns about the fit with the general provisions of the official community plan. It's important to note that the Harbor Area Plan has 5 overarching goals, namely to preserve the scale and character of the harbor area, to make the waterfront fully accessible, to ensure environmentally responsible development, to support and enhance social and cultural activity, and to ensure economic viability. I believe that this proposal accommodates at least 4 of those goals. Applications will seldom squarely meet every criteria, So one must then consider the trade-offs for the criteria that is lacking. Many councils manage to get through a term having to address only relatively minor matters, such as whether to pave a road in one or another neighborhood. Some councils, however, come face to face with matters that require a decision that can fundamentally affect the direction of the community, whether it's approved or whether it's declined. This matter is one such issue, and it requires each member of council to consider both the support of Gibson's residents in general, as well as councillors' individual beliefs of what is in the best interest of the greater community. This is a decision that weighs heavily on each member of council, all of whom, I have no doubt, have only the best interests of our community at heart. I do recognize that a project of this nature will have a greater impact on some areas of our town as compared to others, but any decision must take into consideration the well-being of the whole community. I have on previous occasions emphasized my concerns regarding the ability of our residents to sustain the significant costs required to maintain and replace our basic infrastructure, including water lines, sewer lines, and roads. Our sewer plant, as well as the Crossroad lift station, both require significant upgrades. Most of our water lines have reached the end of their projected lifespan. The roads that are being dug up on School Road and North Road are just the tip of the iceberg of what's ahead of us. Our professional advisors tell us that we need to be setting aside $500,000 a year for road maintenance. We've been unable to set aside any money because we do not have it without incurring debt. It's important to understand that a tax increase in the town of Gibsons of 1% results in additional funds to the town of only $25,000. The project under consideration, when fully built, is expected to generate tax revenues in excess of $300,000 per annum. The only tools that the town has at its disposal to deal with all of these costs is either to increase taxation, to increase debt, which then requires increased taxation to pay interest, or to accept and to encourage density of development. An equally important consideration is the overall economic health of our town. Many of our businesses who pay tax rates 2.5 times that of our residential properties do struggle to survive, particularly through the winter months. The pulp mill at Port Millen has been there in one form or another for almost 100 years. And I think many people assume that it will always be there. And clearly we've had a wake-up call with the recent closure of the paper machine and the loss of employment, directly affecting 170 employees and their families. Those final notices are now being felt and have already begun to impact other service businesses in our community. This development, if it proceeds, will provide 235 person-years of employment during the construction stage. Now, while I acknowledge that it will not necessarily result in all of our employment engaging laid-off employees or other members of our community, I believe that we would be irresponsible in not providing them with the possibility that they may be able to transition from their current loss of employment. As well, once the development is fully functional, it will provide employment to in excess of 100 people. While I understand that some of these positions will not be at the highest pay scale, it does offer the opportunity to the young people in our community to find part-time work so that they can build up savings to pursue post-secondary education when they leave our community, and hopefully return in the busy summer months and be able to find employment which allows them to again live in our community. As we heard in the public hearing, Vancouver Community College is prepared to partner with this project in order to provide training in the hospitality industry. This is one example of how this development might serve as a catalyst for future growth and opportunities. It's easy for those of us who are established or are comfortable with our stable income, whether it be from pensions or other sources, to not want to see any disruption or change in our current circumstances. We cannot, however, indulge the luxury of the status quo because it's simply not sustainable. If this application is approved this evening by Council, there will be numerous decisions and obstacles ahead which will require us to pull together to ensure the success of this development and the benefits that it can bring to the town. If that is approved, I would hope that all residents would accept what is clearly the will of the majority and not continue to squander the town's resources on endless procedural complaints. It's time to embrace the future possibilities. And in the words of Reverend Jesse Jackson, we must go forward with hope and not backward by fear and division. I'll be supporting the amendments as well. So at this point, I'll ask for a motion to receive the Director of Planning's report. Councillor Valerian, Councillor Sanjanko, all in favor? And that's carried. The next item is the recommendation of the George Hotel OCP Amendment Bylaw, number 985-19-2015, be read a third time. I'll ask for a motion for that. Councillor Lumley, second Councillor Valerian, all in favor? That's carried. Next was the George Hotel and Residences Zoning Amendment Bylaw number 1065-33-2015. Be read a third time. Again, a motion. Councillor Valerian, second. Councillor Lumley, all in favor, and that's carried. Next motion is the mayor and corporate officer be authorized to enter into a restricted covenant based on the items outlined in Council Resolution R 2015-328 of the September 15, 2015 regular council meeting, in a form recommended by town legal counsel. Councillor Valerian, Councillor Sanjanko, all in favor, and that's carried. Next one, the George Hotel OCP Amendment Bylaw number 985-19-2015 be adopted. Councillor Valerian, second Councillor Lumley, all in favor, carried. Last one, the George Hotel and Residences Zoning Amendment Bylaw number 1065-33-2015 be adopted. Councillor Valerian, Councillor Sanjanko, all in favor, and that's carried. The next item on the agenda is inquiries. We'll take inquiries at this point, and then we're going to take a 15-minute recess to allow Councillor White to join the meeting for the rest of the if there are any inquiries, you can come forward this time. There will be two other opportunities for inquiries. And if none, we will. One minute.
I don't care what she says.
89 Chamberlain Road. My inquiry is, did all members of council read the letter that was sent to the town on September 24th by West Coast Environmental Law? Did you read it? Did you read it?
Yes.
Did you understand it?
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Let's take a 15-minute recess for those who want to leave, and then we'll get on with regular council business.